What's going on, guys? In this video, we are going to use Goroutines and Channels to build an API mashup, pulling data from two different APIs. I've created a Golang cheat sheet that includes some examples on Goroutines and Channels, and also some examples on interfaces, structs, error handling, and a lot more. You can download the Golang cheat sheet from the link in the description below. Remember to share, like, and subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. So this is going to be the result after the mashup of the two APIs that we are going to integrate using Goroutines and Channels. So these four attributes, the identifier, the brand, the model, and the year, are going to be extracted from this endpoint, myfakeapi.com/API/cars/1. And these are the attributes that we are going to extract: the identifier, the brand, the model, and the year. And these three attributes, the first name, the last name, and the email, we are going to extract those from this endpoint, myfakeapi.com/API/users/1. And we're going to extract this first name attribute, the last name, and the email. Okay, so I already created the server. I'm using the HTTP router that we created on a previous video. And I added this endpoint that is going to use this resource or this URI, and is going to use this function within this controller. That is actually this one. And what it's going to do is it's going to delegate to the car details service, and it's going to invoke this function that is going to return an structure that we are going to define, that is going to basically represent this output that we are going to return when our API is invoked. Specifically, we are using the Chi router, and here we have the controller where we are passing the service as a parameter. Let's get started working on the data structures that are going to represent not only the output after the mashup of the external APIs, but also the data structures that are going to represent the attributes that we want to extract from those external APIs. So first, let's start working on these four attributes that are part of the first API. So I'm going to create a new file here. This is going to be car.go. The package is going to be entity, and the struct is going to be car struct. And if we go back to the response of this external API, we're going to see that we have a car, and within this element we have the attributes that we want to extract. So we need to create another structure. Let's call it car data. Type car data struct. And here we're going to define the four elements. The identifier is going to be an int. And here we define the attribute name, JSON ID. And we also need to add the rest of the attributes: the brand, the model, and the year. So this is going to be ID, this is going to be brand, this is going to be the model. Sorry, this is going to be a string. This is going to be the string as well. And the attribute in this case is car_model. And then we have the year. That's going to be an int. And in this case, the attribute name is car model year, like this. Okay, so this is the structure, and we need to embed the structure here. So So this is the structure that we just created, and now we need to add this wrapper element. So we need to embed this struct within this one. And we need to do this car data, and in this case, the field name is going to be car, like in here. Okay, now we have the struct that is going to represent the output of the first API. Now let's create the structure that is going to represent this output. So let's call it owner.go. The package is going to be entity, type owner struct. And here we need to do something similar to the car, because we have this element that is wrapping the attributes that we need. So we're going to create another struct here that's going to be owner data. And this is the struct that is going to include the attributes that we need to map. So we have first name, last name, and email. So this is going to be first name, string, and the field name is first underscore name, like this. The second one is going to be last name. And the third one is going to be the email. And that's the field that we need to map. Okay. And here we need to embed this struct that we created. And this is going to be user, like this. Let's copy that. And we have our structure created for the output of this second API. And now we are going to create the structure for this output, for the mashup API that we are implementing. So we are going to call it car details. Let go. And here the package is going to be entity, type car details. And here we're going to have all these elements, right? We can grab this one from here. I forgot to add a struct here. Okay. So we have ID, brand, model, and year. ID, brand, model, and year. And the fields, we want these fields. We want ID, we want brand. And this is going to be model. And it's going to be model year. And we need to add the details of the owner of the car, let's say. And we can extract those from here. And for these last three attributes, we want to assign owner underscore first name, owner underscore last name, like this, and owner underscore email, like this. Okay, now we have all the data structures that we need, and let's move on to the service. So this service is going to return entity, and it's going to return the struct that we already created, that is car details. And I need to import the entity package, import entity. Okay, and the interface is going to also return that type. Okay, this method, what it's going to do is going to create a Go routine to get data from the first API, that is this one. Another Go routine to get the data from the second API, which URL is this one. And then we are going to create two channels. Create channel to get the data. Create channel. This should be something like user channel. Sorry, car channel, the first one. Car channel. And then we are going to create the owner channel to get data from endpoint 1, and this is going to get the information from the endpoint 2. So let's say Goroutine. The Goroutine is actually going to call endpoint 1, and this Goroutine is going to call endpoint 2. So these are going to be two asynchronous operations that we want to create a thread so they can run in the background. And once we get the result, we're going to receive that result here in the channels that we are going to create. So this is pretty much what this method is going to do. So let's create a service to call the endpoint number 1. So this is going to be the car service that is going to extract the information from this endpoint. So let's go to the service folder and let's create a new file. Let's call it car service.go. The package is going to be service. And we're going to create an interface here, car service. And the only method that we are going to declare here is going to be the fetch data method. Okay, and we need to create a structure to implement that interface. Let's call it fetch car data service, like that. I forgot to add the struct here. Okay, and we need to create our constructor function. It's going to be new car service, and it's going to return a reference to this struct. And I need to declare the type here. That is car service. Okay. And now I need to implement actually this fetch data function. So func is going to be, I need to pass the struct name here to make it implement this function. It's going to be fetch data. And here what we're going to use is an HTTP client that is going to call, that is going to invoke this URL. So I'm going to copy this URL and I'm going to create a constant here, const car service URL. Like that. And here I need to use, I'm going to create a client that is going to be http client, like that. I'm going to print just to show that I am calling that endpoint, fetching the URL, and I'm going to pass the URL, car service URL. This is fmt.printf, like that. And here what I need to do is I need to call the external API. And here I need to handle the response, and I'm going to ignore the error. And I need to use client.get, and I need to pass the URL, that is this one. Okay, and after that, what I need to do is I need to write the response to the channel. And this is going to be done once I declare that channel. The channel needs to be shared between this car detail service and this car service. And this is pretty much what we need to do to get the data from the first API that we want to mash up. And now I'm going to create another service that is going to be pretty similar to this one. It's going to be the owner service. And pretty much the only thing that is going to change is the URL. So I'm going to copy this one and I'm going to adapt it. I'm going to rename it. This is going to be owner service.go. Let's rename this. We are going to use the same fetch data function. This is going to be owner service URL. It's going to be users. Let's check. Yes, users/1. And it's going to be fetch owner data service. Let's copy this. Let's copy this interface here. And this is going to be new owner service. And I need to copy the structure here to make it implement this function. And here I need to change the URL for this one. And here. And I think that's pretty much for this owner service. So we have the car service that is going to get the data from this endpoint. And then we have this owner service that is going to fetch the data from this other endpoint. Okay, now I need a reference to those services that I just created because I need to use those services here. Okay, I'm going to add those variables to create those references. So first I'm going to use the car service. It's going to be a car service interface. And I need to use the constructor new car service to get a reference to that service. And I'm going to need the owner service that is going to implement the owner service interface. And I need to create a new instance by using the new owner service function, like that. And also I need two channels here. So I need a car data channel. Here I'm going to receive the HTTP response. So I need to use the make function. And here I need to declare the channel like this, chan. And it's going to be a reference to http.response, like that. And something similar to the other API. So this one is going to be owner data channel, where I'm going to receive the data related to the owner of the car. Okay, so this is pretty much what we need to start working on our get details function. So here I'm going to use a Go routine. This is going to be Go. Using this keyword, I'm going to create a new thread, and that thread is going to run this method, car service that fetch data. And something similar for the owner service in another Go routine. Owner service, fetch data. Okay, and now let's go to the car service. And here I need to write the response to the channel. The channel is car data channel. And I can write to that channel like this. And I pass the response. So once I get the response from this API, that is actually this URL, I pass or I write the response to this card data channel. And something similar is going to happen here on the owner service. Once I get the response from this endpoint, I'm going to write the response to the owner data channel like this. Okay, I'm going to remove the to-do here, and I'm going to remove the to-do here. Okay, let's go back to the card details service. I'm going to create a function that is going to read the information from the channel and is going to decode that data from JSON to the object that we need. So let's do that. Actually, I need to create two functions, one for the card data and the other one for the owner data. So the first one is going to be func get card data. And here I'm going to return entity.car for an error in case we have any errors. So first I'm going to read the information from the channel, and I can do that like this. I create this variable, colon equals, and here I specify what is the channel that I want to read from. In this case, it's going to be car data channel. And I'm going to create a variable here. That's going to be the car, entity.car. And now I'm going to decode the response that I receive here from the channel. So this is going to be JSON that new decoder, and here I need to pass r1 that body like that, and here I need to call the encode function, sorry, the decode function, because I receive a JSON here, decode function, and I need to pass a reference like this to the car variable where I'm going to create the object. Okay, and here I need to handle this error in case we have any errors decoding the body. And here I'm going to check if error is not nil. I'm going to print an error. Let's use the error function here. I forgot to add the function print like that. And I'm going to return car and error. And if we don't get any errors, I just return car and nil like that. And the other function to get the owner data is going to be pretty similar. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to adapt it for the owner data. So this is going to be get owner data. The entity is going to be entity.owner, like that. And here the channel is going to be owner data channel, like that. And here I'm going to create a variable that is going to be owner, entity that owner. And here is not car, is owner, like that. And here I'm going to return the owner. And the same, if we don't get any errors, I'm going to return the owner and nil as the error. Okay, now let's use these functions from here. So here I'm going to receive the car and an error. I'm going to ignore the error. And here I'm going to use the get car data function. And something similar for the owner. And I'm going to ignore the error. And I need to use here the get owner data function. Let's check if everything is okay. Get owner data, owner. Yeah, I think we're good. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to remove these comments. And now I need to return this structure. Okay. Let's grab the attributes from here. Okay, and the identifier is going to be car.id. The brand is going to be car.brand. The model is going to be car.model. The year is going to be car.year. Like that. Okay, and the first name is going to be owner.first name. The last name is going to be owner.last name, like that. And the email is going to be owner.email. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, I'm going to create a test really quick here. So this is going to be car details service underscore test.go. I'm going to give it within the same package. And here I'm going to create a function. It's going to be test get details. And here I need to pass T in the reference to testing library, testing.t, like that. Car details service, like that. And I need to use the constructor here, new car details service. And here I expect to get the car details. And I need to use the get details functions from the car details service. So this is going to be car details service dot get details, like that. I'm going to put this in a variable here. This, like that. And here I'm going to add some assertions. First, I need to import the testify assertion library. I'm going to do that. So this is github.com/stretch/testify/assert. So here you can use assert that not nil. And I'm going to check that the car details are not empty. And I'm going to check a couple of elements. So I'm going to use equal assert that equal. Here I need to pass the test, the expected value. In this case, I'm going to check that the identifier is 1. And here I need to pass car details.id. And something similar for a couple of attributes. Let's say brand and the year. So here I expect the brand to be Mitsubishi. And the year I expect it to be 2002, like that. Okay, let's run this test. Okay, like that. Okay, let's run this again. And the test is passing. Okay, let's quickly debug it to see, just to check what is the information that we get here. So I'm going to click here on debug test. And if we go here to the car details, we're going to see that we get the identifier as 1, the brand as Mitsubishi, the model as Montero, the year as 2002, first name, last name, and email, and are basically the information that we get from here, right? The identifier, the model, the brand, the model, and the year. And the same for the rest of the information. The first name, like this, like in here, the last name, like in here, and the email, the same as this one. Let's run this. Go, run, go. Okay, and now we have our server. Let's go back. So we have our server running on this port. So I'm going to create that request. HTTP localhost here /car details. So if we run this, we should get the response that we expect. Yes, we get the ID, the brand, the model year, the owner first name, the owner last name, the owner email, and this is the same structure that we defined here at the very beginning of the video. ID, brand, model year, owner first name, last name, and email. Okay, that's pretty much all I have for today. Thank you for watching. Remember to download the free cheat sheet for Golang. And I see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.